I am Justin Boyd.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
I am Tristan Jones.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to discuss the 7th episode of the HBO series, The Penguin. It's the second to last episode, the penultimate episode, and it's the shortest episode, only 47 minutes, but some big stuff happened. So let's get right to it. Let's get our overall thoughts. Tristan, what are your overall thoughts on the episode titled Top Hat?
Yeah, I think that's a very accurate description of it. Like, a lot happened in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like 47 minutes. It felt like a normal episode length until I looked down at the clock, on my watch, and was like, oh, like this is kind of breezing through. But like a lot of big things happened, but not. This is the first episode in a while where the big things didn't feel so super consequential. I mean, like the big things, like some shit got blown up, but like, I did like that this episode was a confirmation of everything that I've said about our titular character, Mr. Oswald Cobb, and like a lot of things got confirmed for me, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah. Brittany, what about you? Overall thoughts?
I thought it was great. Of course, we're not getting like a whole lot of action. However, the story, of course, keeps progressing. Big episode. Big episode for Frances Cobb. I thought she was brilliant with Sofia. Of course, we're going to talk about that more in depth shortly. Big episode in that respect for her. Yes, things got blown up. A lot of things got blown up. And then we also saw someone die. In my personal opinion, went out like a bitch. I mean, who dies of natural causes in this show? Like, seriously, who dies of natural causes?
He was in the middle of a fight and he had a heart problem. So, like,
I said what I said. I said what I said. But then the perception of, how the other one, quote unquote, one was just so delusional. But it ties back into the backstory that we got of one Oswald Cobb. So I thought it was a brilliant episode. I love the backstory that we got of Oz. Little kid Oz, if you will, and shaping how he was even shaped then to make sense of who he is today. So I'm very excited to talk about this episode.
Yeah, another great episode. I thought, this is a show that every episode I feel like has been, better than the previous one. Maybe this one wasn't better than episode 6, but this was another really, really solid episode. And, just kind of this episode to me just reinforced that Oswald Cobb is a very difficult character to root for. Now, there are no heroes in this story. There are only villains, and he's probably the biggest villain of all, which makes sense because obviously he becomes one of Batman's biggest villains. But, he truly only cares about himself and his mother, and the care for his mother is kind of creepy. So let's jump right into it, because we learn about his childhood, and we see that, like, he desperately sought the attention and affection of his mother, to the point where he didn't like the fact that his brothers, he has an older brother, Jack, and a younger brother, Benny. He didn't like that he had to share, his mom with his brothers, and he found a way to get rid of his brothers. Now, I don't think he did it, totally on purpose, but, in this story, throughout the episodes, we kept hearing about how the city took his brothers, and you're just like, well, what happened to his brothers? Did they get involved in some kind of, gangster, gang related thing or something? Were they killed by the Maronis or the Falcones or the police, or, what happened? How'd they die? And then turns out they died because Oswald, locked them or closed them into a sewer system, a drainage area or a water system area. And they drowned on a rainy night in Gotham. Cristin, what are your thoughts on this opening scene with this child actor who, by the way, was great. The kid that played young Oz was exceptional. And just seeing how it played out with how he, found a way to get rid of his brothers, whether he, meant to or not, he did it.
The child actor, I forgot his name, but he was impressive in the after the episode as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to you, little guy. I thought that backstory between Oz and what happened with his brothers is the truest representation of who Oswald Cobb is as a character, right? All of that is encapsulated in that backstory. Well, it's this obviously the love for his mother, but like we see like there's a level higher to just having this love for his mother. Like he wants her all to himself, to the point where he can't share her with other people that he loves, right? And like one of the highest forms of love is sharing something that you love with that person.
Right.
And he willingly takes that away, you know, and sometimes unwillingly. Like he, you know, when he's having a conversation at the beginning and his brothers came in, like you could see like that visceral reaction just to like their presence, because he didn't want to cut into his own personal time with his mother. And also you see like that also reflects his need to like rise to a different level. You know what I'm saying? Like before we even get to him, you know, at dancing with his mother and promising her a better life, all this, like his first, I guess like his first example of, you know, upward mobility is like getting his mother to himself after, you know, his brothers died. And also like how quickly he flips a switch between, you know, jovial, having fun, or just being like downright regular, intimidating to like becoming a psychopath, right? Any type of slight, you know,
Right.
there's something within him, and he like goes up to 100 on the villain scale. And that's something we see in the present day, and like that backstory absolutely confirms all that. Like, yes, you say he's a hard person to root for. We never should have rooted for him, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's the brilliance of the show, is that it shows you like there's levels to like villainy, and then every villain has a backstory. You know, Sofia has a backstory. I'm sure if we did like a Sal Maroni story, he would have a backstory. I mean, we've already learned like how much Salvatore is endearing because of his love for his family, and that's something we can all relate to. We can all relate to, you know, Oswald feeling like the outsider, feeling like a cast off, and wanting to rise above and make proud and loving our mothers and stuff like that. But once we get to this level, it's like there's something within Oz that we see the monster even as a kid. You know, him looking out, like knowing his brothers aren't coming home. Like there's a good chance they're not coming home.
Yeah.
That people aren't going to find him. Like there's a smile there. Like there's a relatability with what's my man's name? The dancer, Fred Astaire.
Fred Astaire, yeah.
Shooting his dancers. Like there's something, a relatability there. So like that's the brilliance of the show. Is what I'm trying to say. Like the way they tier these villains based on like what motivates them, how willing they are to like turn their back on humanity. And we could see from Oz, man, since a kid, like there was something in him, maybe because of the deformity.
Yeah.
It was just in him, you know, always, but we see where that monster was born. And I think it was the best representation of his character as a whole.
Yeah. Brittany, what did you think about the opening scene, and also the fact we finally saw Rex Calabrese, who Oz, you know, one thing about Oz, seems like he hasn't changed since he was a child. He always loved his mother, and he was always a fanboy for Rex Calabrese. What did you think about seeing that character, and how that character, just how his childhood kind of formed who we see in present day?
It seems like Oz was always just bold. Like he stayed true to his own convictions of whatever they may be, how horrible they may be. It's clear because I'm going to kind of go in order. So when we first meet young Oz, you know, he's with his mom. She's doing her numbers, right? She's a bookkeeper, if you will, and she's working on something for Rex. And so Oz wants to spend time with her, and he's like, "Hey, it's the weekend. Like you've been working all day. Like let's do something together. Let's watch, you know, one of your old movies, one of your favorites or whatever." And she's like, no, I've got stuff to do. And then enter the brothers who are playing like a zombie game or what have you, interrupting the time that Oz has with his mother. And you know, boys are going to be boys. They're going to, you know, not listen and misbehave, what have you. And they upset their mom. But then she starts playing the game with the brothers. And for Oz, like he kind of looks at it like, wait a minute, like you said to me, you don't have time because of reasons. And then yet you just start engaging in this zombie play with my brothers. Like, what the hell's up with that? So I kind of interpreted that as almost like a slight, you know, from his mom, because she preferred to do something with her other boys versus with Oz. And then when she sends them on this errand to go deliver the books, if you will, to Rex, Oz, wants to protest, and she's like, no, you need the exercise, go on. And Oz is, trying to keep up with his brothers. They encounter Rex, which was great, by the way, to see a flash or just some persona of Rex and how he's carrying on, because seems to be trouble, falling out the door. And Oz, like, he isn't swayed by it at all. Jack, being the oldest brother, is like, okay, you guys hang back, like, don't say a word, whatever. I'm gonna take care of this. Hands over the book. Rex pays him $50 and said, like, hey, give my best to your mom. And Oz is like, hey, Rex, nice seeing you. Like, he's just bold, like just very bold. And even though his brother advised him to, like, keep your mouth shut, don't draw attention to yourself, Oz is like, he marches to a beat of a different drum. Okay. And I kind of admire that, even like from a kid. I'm not trying to say I'm rooting for the guy, but just the fact that he is who he is. Like, he knows who he is, albeit probably a messed up individual. But just the fact that he sees the difference between how his brothers engage with, like, their mom, and then, like, with Rex and what have you. And Oz is just like, he's not what's the word I'm trying to think? It doesn't faze him at all with the encounter with Rex. Like, it bothers him more with his mom. And so it's just kind of interesting, like, seeing the two different dynamics where Oz wants his mom all to himself, but then he also kind of wants to be on speaking terms with Rex himself. It's like he's constantly looking for someone to acknowledge him and to like instant gratification of some kind, or instant validation of some kind, right? So and maybe that stems from the fact that he has, like, this disability, right? So I don't know. I mean, that kid, again, I don't know the actor's name, but I was very impressed not only by his performance, but I was very impressed in the after show and just how well he could articulate himself and his character that he's portraying, and just kind of getting into the psyche of things. And I'm like, oh, should I be alarmed by this child? Like, but I mean, we're just getting to the very beginning of young Oz, of course, and when they're playing hide and seek in the underground, right? And how quickly Oz gets slighted by his brothers, or at least we're led to believe that he was slighted by his brothers for going down a tunnel that he can't go because of his disability, and he locks them in. He's like, good luck trying to get out of that, or whatever, and just takes off running. Like, didn't faze him. Did not faze him. Real quick, y'all, I want to give a quick shout out to King B. Johnson, who's joining us today in the live chat, and also a newcomer, Bookworm, who says, it's so sad because, like, from Oz, I see it as a slight, but Oz asked her to stop working, and Benny and Jack just pull her into a few seconds of play, so I don't think they're actually comparable. That's a great point. So I appreciate you being here, Bookworm. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the rest of the episode.
Real quick on that, like, I think Oz's mom is trying to, like, she's just being a good mother, like, she's trying to satisfy two different, entities at the same time. Like, she gave Oz his time and, got him on that. And then brothers come in and, like, okay, they need something a little bit different. And again, it goes back to Oz. Like, maybe he just simply does not understand, like, that human concept of sharing, sharing affection. Maybe he feels starved of it. So, like, he wants to take all he can get. And, like, that's the Oz we see now.
Yeah. And then, sorry, Justin, but, he leaves his brothers behind. They can't get out of the tunnel, or that's at least what we're led to, believe, of course. And he goes home, tells his mom a, bold-faced lie. The brothers went to the movies and he came home because he wanted to spend time with her. And she's like, all right, let's have a little date night. And they put on the Fred Astaire Top Hat movie. And occasionally you see young Oz look back out the window, like, checking on the weather. It's not improving, obviously, not improving at all. And then at one point, like y'all said, when Fred Astaire's character is, like, shooting at his other dancers, he raises his eyebrows, like, ooh, I like this. And the very fact that his mother had said, when Oz asked, "Hey, can I pick the movie?" She's like, you always pick the same one. And it's just like, this kid is fixated, whether he wanted to be Fred Astaire, and again, don't know if it stems from the disability because he can't move as well as Fred Astaire or other people for that matter, or just the violence behind the musical itself. And so it's just very interesting to see, again, the young psyche that is Oz Cobble. I was going to say Cobblepot, but Oswald Cobb.
Yeah. No, speaking of Cobblepot, with the Fred Astaire movie, it's very noticeable to me, that Fred Astaire is wearing a top hat. He has a cane,
penguin suit.
Which
a penguin suit.
What the comic book character is most known for, having a monocle. That's the things he's known for. A couple of things I wanted to mention real quickly in this scene was we see young Oz find the trolley token, which he rediscovers in episode 5, which gives him the idea to go underground for his Bliss operation. And then also I love the references to Double Dragon. So I guess this is like, we're led to believe this is like in like 1987 or so, because he mentions playing Double Dragon, then Beetlejuice, which is notable for a couple reasons. It's also Warner Brothers property, but it stars Michael Keaton, who of course would go on to play Batman 1989. So love to get these Michael Keaton connections in with this show. Moving on. So the next big scene is after the flashback, we return to present time. Oz returns to the apartment and he sees the door's been broken into, and he goes in looking for his mom and looking for Vic. And I was just so happy that Vic was alive, because I talked about this last week. I thought, he's got the Jason Todd Robin comparisons that I've kind of put together. And when he was laying face down and Oz turned him over, I'll tell you what, for like a second in there, I thought he was dead. Now, would it have made sense narratively? No, because Vic is a very important character to the story and has been throughout the whole season. But I got kind of scared. He was knocked out. He looked like he did get hit with a crowbar or something. Tristan, how did you take that, seeing Vic he was left laying and he was knocked out when Oz came in to look for his mom and also for Vic?
Yeah, I didn't think he was dead.
Yeah.
The music wouldn't fit that. It was more like a urgent type of, tone. So didn't think Vic was dead. Very, I'll like everyone else, like kind of wonder, like, where's he sending them? Is Vic capable of, like, essentially get him an army that he needs, for this war that he's clearly in. But yeah, I didn't think Vic, like, that's something that would have played out in a completely different way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he wouldn't have found him in the bedroom like that. And like I said, the music gave it away. But I have more confidence in Vic making it going forward in this story. Seeing how he made it, they didn't, Sofia didn't kill him. Sal didn't kill him. So I got more confidence in him going forward.
That's a great sign. And also, Brittany, we get to see, like Tristan said, Oz sends Vic to go get an army, get out of here, go, get prepared for what's coming next. And so then, Oz sticks around. Sal shows up, gets to get some shots in with the golf club, takes Oz captive. Yeah. And I love whenever Sal calls Sofia to tell her that he has Oz, and like the look on her face, she's so happy. Like it's such a crazy, like, she's like cooking or whatever. And then, he calls her and just the smile on her face. He's like, we've got Oz. And she's like, have some patience. We're going to kill him soon. Like, that was like kind of a comedic delivery. I love that part of it. What was your take on this whole scene?
I think Sal's response to her when she said that, she's like, have patience. We'll kill him soon. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was like such a comedic like moment for me. But I mean, the excitement for one old man who, essentially had his entire family go up in flames by Oz. Like, I'm not trying to be funny about that. It's just that literally happened. And for him to have some sort of justice, I guess you could say, in taking his swings at Oz with his own putter, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe not putter, club. I don't know anything about golf, y'all. Don't come at me. But I see Tristan there with his golf clubs in the back. But Sal taunting him and saying like, I've never been one for the game, but this and that would have you, you basically saying you took everything from me and now we have your mom, this and that, you're going to take me to your operation. And Oz like, hell no, I ain't doing shit until I know my mom's okay. And when Sal calls Sofia to let her know, hey, we've got Oz, and you can hear Oz in the background just like screaming for like, hey, like, don't do anything to her, like leave her out of this, like, please, like just begging, it's just a little bit of some sort of gratification for Sal, knowing that he is causing some kind of pain for Oz, and it's just minuscule compared to what Sal and Sofia in a way are feeling. But yeah, the scene where Sophia's like, have patience, like we're gonna kill him soon, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
sure.
The next scene, let's talk about, it might be the best scene of the series, certainly one of the best scenes in this episode, was the Sofia Francis showdown, where we see that Francis has a lot of confidence in Oz.
God
and,
damn, does
and she is not afraid, even though she's she's kidnapped and she is at the Gigante mansion now. She's not afraid of Sofia, and she gets off a couple of great lines. She says that, talk about Oz, saying he's going to roast Sal like he did his wife and their bastard son. Then he's coming for you. Then she talked about the mansion. She's like, "Are y'all afraid of color or something?" Like looking around, how the drab kind of look of it. And the one that hit Sofia the hardest, I believe, was whenever she pointed out, "Oh, you're a Gigante now." So that was cool. You changed your name, but like, you're still playing the same game. You're still, drugs are drugs, and it's the same winners, same losers, and you're still playing your daddy's game, which really, kind of hit Sofia, right where it hurt. Cristin, what did you think about this epic scene between these two actresses?
I mean, the brilliance of this scene is, and the showrunner,
Lauren LaFranc, yeah,
she mentioned it after the episode, that it demonstrates like a different type of dementia, or just dementia that Frances might have, that can cause her to kind of go in and out, and have like these really impulsive episodes. So you see so many sides of her, like her psyche, the confidence in Oswald. It can come off a little performative. Like I couldn't tell how performative it was versus how much she really, really believes it. Hell, just an episode ago, she was questioning him, questioning her confidence in him and his ability to come through.
Right.
So kind of split on like how genuine that arrogance regarding her son was. But you also see her with the regrets and, all these things. Like it feels like, to me, when I was watching it, I felt like she was going to kind of say something to demonstrate that she knew, that she's always known how much of a monster Oswald is. And maybe she never truly really believed him about what he said about his brothers. Like you can tell, like a lot of these memories are coming up and popping out. You can kind of judge that by, what next episode, what the finale is going to look like. So it was a brilliant kind of chess match between Sofia and Frances. I thought Sofia seemed a little bit taken aback at first. Like she wasn't used to somebody like demonstrating that type of confidence toward her and just being so, abrasive about it. But eventually, you could see like she was starting to pick up, and she kind of saw what she could use, what Frances was saying, to her advantage. And, before you know it, they're like pulling memories out of her brain now. The Arkham tech. So like, I'm very interested to see like what Frances just, talks about, exposes about her past.
Yeah. And, I mentioned about how Frances got in a lot of good lines on Sofia. Sofia got in some stuff on her too, mentioning that, that Frances obviously shaped Oz into the monster that he became. And that, that her other sons were lucky that they died before she could turn them into monsters like Oz. And then, Frances backhanded Sofia. Brittany, what'd you think about this scene?
Oh, I mean, for one, it's like, in a way, they're sparring. off one another, right?
Yeah.
And verbally sparring off one another. And I was so impressed with the level of confidence and just sheer, I think, powerful nature that Francis was exhibiting in that whole conversation was so fantastic, because I think as of late, Sofia is not used to speaking with another woman of power, I guess you could say, right? She's used to now being able to call the shots now that she's a gigante and what have you, and all these men like work for her. But for her to spar off with another female is probably just unheard of, right? Because of the fact that she intimidates women so much, because they all view her as the hangman. We saw that even with Eve, but even with Eve, it was slightly different. It was like, listen, I've kind of come to accept my fate, this and that, what have you. But this was a completely different tone with this conversation with Francis, and how, because Francis has had exposure to this world, if you will, we all kind of had like some theories that maybe she was like a mob boss wife. She had some role to play when it came down to maybe Rick's Calabrese. And that's kind of true, I guess you could say. She kept the books. But sorry, I'm about to there we go. But with for Sofia, I don't think she's used to having another female around and being told off the way that Francis was doing, until Sofia kind of, triggered her to have that episode where the tremors worsened and Francis was kind of transformed back to that night when her sons didn't come home. And I guess she thinks Sofia is like an officer or someone who should be out looking for them and what have you. And I think Sofia was confused, right? She wasn't sure what was happening at that moment. And it maybe felt some sort of sympathy towards Francis, because this is also another woman who has severe trauma of some kind. She just, doesn't fully understand it. And when she places her hand on the back of Francis, who then kind of comes to and backhand slaps Sofia across the face, one of her guys comes up as if he's going to, try to restrain Sofia, stops him. And so Francis is just like, get your fucking hands off me. And it's just like, God damn, lady, like how quickly she came back.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I mean, it was a little bit of whiplash, no pun intended, but like it was incredible, I think, to see these two women have such an incredible scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently Francis has Lewy body dementia, which is a real thing that people suffer from. It's a very interesting way to have this character, who can kind of go in and out of this situation, and then also, kind of look back to the past and talk about what's happened with the boys, and which we've heard about through every episode. And so we kind of got a payoff of that in this episode. The next big scene we want to touch on is Oz killing Sal. And I say killing in quotation marks because he didn't actually get to kill Sal, which obviously made Oz crazy, because he had to, that was part of this, right? He had to beat the guy, and he had to, after they get, they take, so what happens is Sal's guys go to see Oz's underground lair, see his operation. And of course, Oz and his guys, overthrow Sal and his people. And we've got Oz and Sal duking it out in one of the trolley cars when Sal suddenly suffers a heart attack and dies. And, Oz's reaction, he's like, well, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be the big bad man. You're supposed to be this big tough guy who's gonna show me or whatever. And Oz stands over his dead body and shoots him a few times and says, I win. I beat you, Salvatore Moroni. Which I love that. I love the fact that he had to do that. Anyway, Tristan, what are your thoughts on the scene and Oz like getting the better of Sal, but not really?
Listen, if he didn't kill Sal, it's at least wrongful death. Like, he could be sued if in real life, if I know you have a heart condition and I intentionally do something to like rattle your heart and you die, like that's wrongful death. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like something's gonna happen.
Right.
So in Oz and all, in all sense, he killed him. Like he was the last person that he saw alive. I thought that, I'll be honest. Let's be honest. That was probably like the one part of the episode I took some issue. Like it just seemed too easy. Like all you do is yank the shit and the lights go out. Like wouldn't Sal and Sofia have more people? You know what I'm saying? Like
that's what I thought too. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like we just don't feel equipped for the moment. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of took a little of the steam out of it for me, if I'm being honest. And then, he had the heart attack and died. But I think the most interesting part of that is, again, it's Oz's psyche, and it's feeling like I have to be the one to take you down because this fulfills something within me. Right. This need to dominate, this need to like have everything for myself, this need to address slights, and everything about Salvatore Maroni is a slight towards Oz. So that I was wondering like why be so fixated on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you killed a rival, somebody was trying to kill you. Cool, like let's move on. But like, no, he's fixated on the fact that he wasn't the one to do it fully, in the way he planned it. And he's a schemer, you know what I'm saying? And he, even in that short, quick moment, thought of a scheme to get out of that jam, and he wanted to be the one to finish that. So that says so much about his character to me, more than like I didn't really care about the fight, Nothing athletic about those fights. But it says more so about like who Oz is and like a lot of the things we continue to see what drives him, right? Like I think the brilliance of the show again is because these villains are so humanized. They're not just in the comics and in these movies and from our childhood. Like they have no motivation. Like it's just destruction. Like you don't really get to see what the motivation is behind a lot of these villains. Like Joker in The Dark Knight, we still don't know like what drove him. Like, we have like these scant pieces of evidence, like who he was, like these backstories, but like what motivated him? Like who was he as a person? Like why should I be rooted in seeing the progression of their villainy? Like I'm not rooting for the person, but I am rooting to see more of who Oz is. And it's these little tidbits, like the fact that he really, really wanted to be the one to pull the trigger first or to strangle him or whatever. Like to him, Sal went out weak, like Brittany said, like he went out like a bitch. And that's something that Oz, because of what drives him, like he just can't comprehend. So like I felt like that was really interesting to me.
Yeah. Brittany, your take on the scene.
I mean, I'm going to take it back a little bit further before Sal's untimely death. Bookworm here in the chat said, Oz trying to turn Sal on Sofia was so funny to me. He just got shut down every time, down to, we're packing up Sofia's drugs and bringing you to her home. Which, up until I feel Oz's dying breath, he is going to like manipulate the situation as much as possible, just talk his way out of things and what have you, because he's making eye contact with one of his crew members, if you will, and it's like, okay, I'm ready, on your go kind of thing, and dude pulls the wires and all the electricity goes off, and so that's when all hell breaks loose between Sal's very few men and Oz's crew. And so gunshots going back and forth, right? People are dying, and these two men, Oz and Sal, run off into like one of the old trolleys, and they're trying to, wail on one another, and they're both getting winded. Okay. I mean, these are men who are not in the best shape. Their health is probably shit. And you see them both slowing down, including Oz, right? Like, I don't know if Sal, if he was in a better physical health, if he could have kept going, because Oz was, to me, slowing down. I don't know about y'all. Those in the chat joining us, let me know who was actually winning that fight. Was anyone actually winning that fight if Sal hadn't, gone out like a little bitch, like I said? Because again, who dies of natural causes in this show? Like, honestly, like everyone we've seen die has been murdered, if you will, right? So that being said, it was kind of crazy to see the performance of Clancy, because it's like the gasping, the wheezing, and the eyes bulging, and it's just like, what is happening? And I thought maybe like the stab wound like had opened up again or something. I don't know why, but I was like, oh shit, is he having a heart attack? And then he just like falls backwards. I'm like, this is how it ends for Salvatore Maroni. Like, this is honestly how it's going to end. Both his wife and son went up in flames, and he's just gonna die. And for Oz, like, he's like, wait a minute, like, I'm not gonna let this happen. Like, I'm supposed to be the one that's gonna take you out. You talk this big game of, I'm Salvatore Maroni and I'm a big man, blah blah blah. And then so I don't know if in Oz's mind, and Tristan tapped into this about the psyche, if in Oz's mind, if there was anybody else around them listening, Oz is like, I'm gonna have the last say. I'm gonna pull the trigger. Kills Sal, even though he's already dead, just like for good measure. And he's like, I win. Like, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? King V. Johnson says, it's like fighting a midget. Okay, listen, first of all, I am under 5 foot, sir. I take offense. No. He says, no matter what happens, you lose. Listen, I can fight. Bookworm says Sal was winning in the moment when he died, but also Sal was taking medication in jail when he was shanked and probably didn't take it with him when he escaped. It's a fair enough point. That's a good observation. I'll go with that. Yeah, crazy scene. I was just like, this is really how the last of the Maroni is gonna go out. I don't know. This felt like a little bit of a cop out.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. They had to get rid of Sal to get to the finale, get to, obviously Oz facing off with Sofia. I did like how Oz then called Sofia on Sal's phone, and then she answers like, "Oh, Salvatore," and he's like, "No, he's dead." So yeah, that was I don't know. I thought it was a needed, like, I think we all thought Salvatore Maroni was going to die at some point in this series, so you kind of had to figure out a way to get rid of that character to move on to the finale. So
I kind of thought that maybe Sofia would double cross him and she take him out. I don't know. That was just
I thought they got too close. There was too much like father-daughter kind of stuff for that to happen at this point.
It's kind of creepy, but okay.
Well, given everything that like Sal had lost, he just wanted to kill or punish or brutalize Oz. I don't think he was even that invested in the drug game anymore.
I do want to share real quick, Justin,
sure.
Before we continue. Bookworm continues saying, also, I love that scene so much when Oz goes, you were supposed to beat me. Prove what a big man you were. It's so obvious that he's talking about the glorious victory of Oz, imagined for himself.
Oh, yeah.
Bookworm continues saying, and now Sal's heart attack has robbed him of that. He couldn't even take down a senior citizen. Damn.
Side note on Mr. Maroni. I ain't seen not one news report about like fugitive, like, hey, one of the heads of the mob, mob family.
Yeah.
Like, do we just not, is Gotham that, messed up that we just don't care about fugitives? Like, loose on the street? Like,
I mean, in the opening episode, they talked about Alberto becoming the new Don of the Falcone family. So, yeah.
Right. Well, not his father, but one of the heads, one of the top guys just broke out of prison, federal prison, but who cares?
Yeah. No time for the news.
I need Gotham Gazette to do better. Do better, y'all. Be better reporters.
I think they did, but it's behind a paywall, and the show just didn't want to pay. Yeah, they ran out all the free articles. So,
and it's owned by big tech,
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
There's all kinds of problems. Lex Luthor's probably involved somehow in this.
Oh my God, here we go.
Let's talk about Sofia and Gia, because we learned from Dr. Julian Rush, that Gia is back in the picture. She is she is at, as we saw from after episode 4, she's at a, like a child home, and she's the word on the street from Dr. Rush is that she's interested in talking to the cops. She saw something that night, and so Sofia uh, goes to meet with her, and we see that Sofia, Gia asks her, "Oh, did you kill my mom and dad?" She's like, "Oh no, of course not. It was a terrible accident." But then she sees the cuts on Gia's arm, and I think she starts to like, think about how Gia's in a place that is, similar to Arkham. I mean, not the same thing as Arkham, but for a little kid to be in that kind of situation is just as scary as what she experienced in Arkham. And so then she just kind of just breaks down and lets her know, like, look, your mom and dad, everyone in our family, they're terrible people. They deserve to die. I'm glad they're gone, but you shouldn't hurt yourself because of them. You're going to find a better life, a better family, and you'll make something of yourself, but don't let their death, destroy you. And, I thought it was a very good scene. And I thought you could definitely see how Sophia saw herself in Gia. What'd you think about this scene, Tristan?
Yeah, it's just a cycle, it's just continuing that cycle of, you know, abusing in some type of way the women of their family. It was sad because like I thought there was a part of me, like my heart, which was hoping that Sophia would come and be like, "Hey, no, you can come home. You can, come home with me and try my best to give you a loving, familiarity, loving home." And she couldn't even like that. Probably wasn't even
An option
in her brain or option for it all. So, poor Gia. Like that's what I was thinking the whole time. Like there's no refuge away from just becoming like Sophia, essentially. So that cycle continues. I think Sophia could tell that Gia kind of saw through the bullshit. Like she seems to be as perceptive as Sophia probably was at that same age.
Yeah.
Without obviously going through the same things. And like, I mean, I think you asked the question, did you kill my mom and dad? Pretty much knowing the answer, but just kind of hoping that the person that you're asking that will at least lie to you in a way that makes it somewhat believable. So like she's already ruined in so many ways. And I just found it like so jarring that like Sophia couldn't even like pretend for so long. And I think her like crying after leaving out of that room is just her. She feels something for Gia. She loves Gia, hopefully. But mostly like crying for like the rest of her, which is kind of like slowly dying. You know what I'm saying? So once you're in it and you want to be the head person, like you got to dive all the way in it. And Gia, she's a casualty, you know what I'm saying? Even if she's still alive.
Are we concerned that Gia could turn into a monster like like Sophia at this point? I mean, like the cycle has continued. Unfortunately, Sophia grew up without her mother, not having that nurturing person in her life, because obviously she was not getting that from her father. We don't know exactly the family dynamic that Gia had with her parents. It did seem like they loved each other from what little we saw, and seeing that, or knowing, excuse me, that Gia saw the mask in Sophia's bag and put 2 and 2 together, right? And if the whole house was gassed and her parents died as a result of that, like how is it that she and Sophia survived? So I hated the fact that this child is doing self-harm to herself, and the fact that Sophia put Gia in a place, just like Carmine put Sophia in a place, and it destroyed her. It's going to destroy Gia. And the idea of Sophia even saying to Gia the truth, of course, and that was probably more for Sophia than for anybody else. And then saying, "Oh, you're going to have a better life because your parents are not here. Your family is not here. You have a fresh new start." Okay, what does a 12-year-old, or however old Gia may be, like, what does a 12-year-old know of life in thinking that, oh, I'm going to have a great life because my parents are not here anymore? Like my cousin who says she loves me, murdered my whole family. Like, you know what I'm saying? This was definitely more for Sofia than it was for Gia, because Julian, or Dr. Rush, was the one who brought up Gia wanting to talk to the police because of what she claims she saw. And Julian's more concerned of, well, is she going to be a problem for us? And it's like, Julian, what are you saying, bro? Like, are you saying a child is going to be a problem for y'all? What is your solution, doctor? Like, Jesus Christ. Like,
he would take her out. I mean, if Sofia gave him the word, he's down for anything for Sofia.
I
You can
know.
tell. Yeah.
And that's what's concerning. And like I said, this whole thing, yes, it was to find out what Gia thinks she knew, but it was about Sofia. It was just about Sofia. It's not about Gia at all. It's not about Gia's wellness or anything like that. It was about Sofia just like in her mind thinking, okay, this is the same thing was done to me that I'm doing to her, but I'm going to fix it and just tell her the truth and say, hey, good luck, kid. You're going to have a better life now that you're not part of this family.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So when Oz calls Sofia, he offers the trade of give me my mom back. Don't harm her at all. And I'll let you have all the bliss. You can have the whole empire back. I just want my mom back. So Sofia tells Dr. Rush about this, and he's like, this is obviously a trap. And Sophia's like, no, but I'm going to go through with it, because I've told him I'm going to do it. But then he kind of convinces her, like, you need to do what you want to do. Don't do, what, you think your dad will want you to do, or don't get caught up in that game. Like, do what you want to do. And she says that she wants Oz to feel pain, real pain, the kind that I felt. And she wants him to suffer for what he's done. Then we get her car is sent to Oz's underground lair, which I thought, I don't know. I was kind of surprised how quickly that all kind of came to be. And then you've got Sofia's on the phone. You're kind of led to believe that she's in the back seat or she's in the car. Then of course we learn that she's not. The driver of the car gets out of the car, he bails, and then we get the phone conversation between Sofia and Oz, where she's basically saying, telling him like, hey, like I left you a present in the car. Why don't you go check it out? And you're led to believe, or you think like, oh, it's what'd she do to her mom, or to his mom. And there was one line that she says where I thought maybe the mom was cut up or whatever, because Sofia talks about how, she's taken on these different, she's had different levels of skin or layers of skin or something. She says like that. I'm like, is she going to like have like a mask from her mom, from the mom's skin or something?
Very Hannibal Lecter of you to,
I don't know. I didn't know where it was going to go, but lo and behold, Oz goes to the back seat. There's like a blanket, lifts the blanket. There's a bomb that's going to go off in like 18 seconds. And the thing about Oz, the worst part about Oz is like, he's got these people who are helping him, who are doing everything they can for this operation for him. He doesn't warn anybody there's a bomb. And of course the bomb goes off. He's able to escape by falling down the water sewer system. The same thing, I think the same place where his brothers died.
I think it was.
Yeah. He's able to save himself, but probably everyone else down there is killed. Tristan, what's your whole take on this scene, how it played out and how Oz narrowly escaped?
I mean, yeah, it was quick, but ultimately to get us to the end, where that poetic symmetry of him going down the same hatch that his brothers went, it probably ended up dying in, him struggling to get up, just as he was struggling to get down, when he was a kid, and coming up and just seeing like everything, everything's kind of blown up. And he's nowhere closer to his mother, you know what I'm saying? I was more interested in kind of trying to figure out what Sofia was saying. Like, I thought that was the more interesting part of that last scene. We're just talking about essentially finding herself. Like, is this her diving all the way into like being a hangman, or is she, assuming like some new
yeah.
Man. Okay. So first of all, as soon as the car had stopped, and then you see the driver kind of like looking to the side as if Sofia's sitting in the front seat next to him, right? And then as soon as he took off running away from the car, but apparently the doors have been locked, like there's no escaping. So I don't even know if that driver made it out alive. As soon as he took off running, I'm like, okay, there's a bomb. There's a bomb in the car. Like there wasn't a question in my mind whether or not there was. But I did get concerned, of course, about Mrs. Cobb, if she was just going to be there for effect and just really send Oz down this spiral downward of villainy and what have you. Like this is what's going to do him in. And because there was a moment when he goes to the back seat because he's on the phone with Sofia. She's taunting him. She's like, I left a present for you. Did you find it? And you see the blankets or the clothing or what have you. It kind of maybe looks like something that Mrs. Cobb wore, like, fur jacket or something like that. Yeah. And he kind of has like this look on his face, like he's about to see his mother's dead body. And it's like he's bracing himself for it. And then he pulls the blanket back or whatever. And it's a bomb. And yeah, the fact that he has been trying so hard to give off this image to his crew of I'm for you guys, like I'm here to help you, I'm here for the community, and this. He wants to be the modern day Rex Calabrese, and he just bails. Like it's all about him. It's always been about him, and how quickly he moved from the car to whatever that entry was to get to the sewer. Of course, the explosion happens, and he falls down the ladder. And you would think he'd get buried in, but he, surprisingly didn't. And you hear his crew members who approach the car. They're like, there's a bomb, everyone, there's a bomb. And then it's just obviously far too late. Really sad way for the crew to go out. And, but at the same time, you're not at all surprised that Oz made that choice. I think even if it were between Vic and Oz is still all about himself, right? He says, it's you and me, kid. They're going to be telling, saying our names. History's going to remember our names, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, Oz is just about himself. He didn't like how Vic was getting close with his mother, this and that, what have you. So it wasn't entirely surprising. I was just impressed how quickly he could move, given this was a life or death situation. But I never once doubted that there was a bomb. I was just like, where is Sofia? What is she doing with his mother? Because then you see the camera cut away to Monroe's, which appears to be like an old theater that
I think it's a jazz club.
It's something. We don't know it quite at that moment, but it seems we're going to this location because it means something to the Cobb family. And shit's gonna ensue. That's that much we know. But the fact that you see the explosion, not just from the car underground, but then you see the impact that it has at the street level. It's pure destruction. And I thought to myself, damn, the East Side just can't catch a break. Like Crown Point just cannot catch a break.
Just got lights.
Yeah, it's tough for Crown Point. I think it might get tougher in the finale. Before we get to kind of our predictions for the finale, I want to mention that there's one more scene. There's a final flashback where we see Oz and his mom go on a date to this Monroe's place back in the 80s. And this is where you kind of see her kind of shaping him, and he's eating it up. She's she wants him to promise her that he's gonna make something of himself, and he's gonna get her everything that she deserves, and she deserves to have a happy life. And he promises, you deserve the best life. I'm gonna get it for you. Just I'll do whatever it takes. I'm not gonna quit. And then we flash back to reality, and we see that the detective that we saw in the first or second episode, I believe, that Sophia hired,
something like that.
Yeah, he comes back and he refers to he sees Oz in the street. By the way, Oz thinks he sees Vic. It's not Vic. It's just some other random person. This detective knocks out Oz after calling the Penguin, and we're led to believe he's going to take Oz to where Sophia is.
Mm-hmm.
Tristan, what do you see for the finale? Like, okay,
I'm laughing because all black people look alike. Of course, Oz.
I was just gonna say he looks like another Afro Latino. Okay.
I mean, in fairness, he did sort of look like Oz. Like, I mean, like Vic. I mean, Vic. If you're coming out of an explosion, like I could see where you might be confused.
This is not helping the case.
No, but I mean, I don't know. I think you can kind of get it. And also, he was looking for Vic after he told him to go, get an army. So I think that's also meant to show that he does. I don't know. Maybe he cares for Vic a little bit more than we think. Not that he doesn't care for him.
I think he cares for Vic up until he's, disposable.
No longer useful.
Yeah, like he needs him. He's a resource.
Yeah.
When shit gets bad for Oz, he's grasping at every resource he can possibly can.
Right.
Until you get to a point where there's none left. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think that's what I think about the finale. We talk about. I've been saying it since the first episode. Is I'm into this show because I want to see what makes the Penguin the Penguin. You know what I'm saying? And the route is different here. Like the Penguin is just like a nickname. It's not at this point an assumed, villain moniker.
It's not a term of endearment.
Right. It's not something that he's willingly like going by. It's
right.
It's something that shows like his outcastness. And I think what this whole season has been is him, rising up, trying to build his own empire full of other people, when essentially it was always meant to circle back to him being an outcast. Like the underground layer, like nobody really being able to trust him. Him having to like buy off, temporary loyalty, from his workers, like all that goes out the window, in different ways. It's blown to smithereens in some cases. Yeah. But like you see it, like even with the other heads, the other families, neighborhoods, whatever, he had to, it took so much convincing just to like get like a basic amount of trust, because his reputation is shot out here. So we talk about like him becoming the Penguin. I think he becomes the Penguin in the finale when there's literally or almost no one left that he can like pull from, when he needs it, when he needs a lifeline. And the Penguin we know is completely alone, except for, his animals, his penguins.
Yeah.
And maybe he doesn't have the penguins, but like, I'm interested to see like, what does he have to like keep him company, because every resource he has is dying by the wayside. So we'll see if the other like neighborhoods, will back him, the triage and, all the rest of them.
Yeah.
But my prediction to that is that they won't. And then it'll just be him. And maybe, with a few ally here or there. But ultimately, this is always meant for him to be just him. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing in the finale.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Vic is going to try to do whatever it was that Oz asked, and that was to, get the triads, Donnie Boy, and the people that were there for the Gold Summit. The problem is that there's no more product, right? It's been blown to smithereens. If there's no product, why are they going to stay in cahoots with Oz? Like it's at this point, it's going to be a free for all. It's going to be a free for all. There's been a gang war ongoing. The Maronis are no more. The Gigante seems to be pretty powerful in a way, because she claims she's no longer playing the game. She's no longer playing her father's game. She's got a new one that she's devised. And I think because she appears to be so perceptive, she probably could kind of be 2 steps ahead of Oz, even though Frances said that of her son, that he's always 2 steps ahead of everyone else. But I feel like with that talk, Sofia is trying to maybe tap into that of Oz and be 2 steps ahead of him. She probably anticipates he's going to go and try to get his allies to back him up and what have you, while I have his mother. And she's probably going to just trap everyone if they do show up at Monroe's. And she's just going to have like the whole place is just going to go up in flames or something. Something awful, terrible is going to happen. She obviously wants Oz dead. I still will maintain that she is going to have him watch his mother die by her hands, because I think that's going to be the turning point of him just accepting his full villainry era, if you will. And for Vic, I feel like based on the trailer that we saw, he's not going to be well received. It looks like he's getting the crap beaten out of him. By whom I couldn't tell you, if it's with supposed allies of the Gold Summit or not. But I'm very fearful for Vic, if he's going to make it out alive or not. He might be the only one that would show up for Oz, just because of his loyalty to Oz. And does that mean his fate is sealed with Oz as well? So lots of unknown. My anxiety still hasn't lessened, because going into this episode, I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen with Mrs. Cobb? Still hasn't let up. It feels like Sofia is setting the stage, quite literally, for Oz to reveal the truth of what happened to his brothers. It's probably just going to destroy Mrs. Cobb, because we did see, we just haven't talked about it, that Mrs. Cobb was being questioned by Julian. He's using that weird red light back and forth type therapy to get her to talk. And I can only imagine what she revealed for Sofia to use that as leverage. But I think the truth of the brothers is going to come out, and it's going to destroy Frances, and she'll probably die, like I said, by Sofia's hands, or die of a broken heart. I don't know. It's going to be something traumatic, I feel. But I think it's going to be then that either Oz will survive, turn into the full villain that we all know that he should be, or everyone dies. I don't know.
I think that Sofia is going to try to hit Oz where it hurts in multiple levels, right?
Yeah.
I think the mom is going to die. I think she will die in front of him. But I also think that, from watching the little teaser for next week, there's a part where the very last few seconds of it, we see Sofia and she says, Oswald Cobb, a man of the people, while something is lit on fire. The end of the Batman movie, we had a giant flood, right? We had a great flood because of the Riddler. I think the final moments of this show, there's going to be a big blaze, a giant fire. And I think it's obviously that neighborhood's going to go up in flames. And I think that somehow Sofia is going to pin it on Oz. Like people are going to think it's because of Oz, because he wants to be the guy who saves the community. He wants to be the hero. He wants to be the Rex Calabrese of his time period. And I think she knows that'll hurt him. And remember how the show opened? Like he's telling Alberto that story, and Alberto's making fun of him that he wants to be that guy. I think that story is going to come back around where he's going to be made the villain of this neighborhood that thought that he was trying to be the hero of. And that's how he becomes the Penguin. What I'm really curious about is who is going to survive and be in the Batman Part 2. I really
that's
hope
most important to you.
I really hope Vic makes it. I really hope Sofia makes it. I don't know. Well, Oz he's going to make it, I feel.
Okay.
Right. Honestly, if Oz died, I wouldn't be that heartbroken. Like, cause I'm team Sofia when it's Oz versus Sofia.
Of course you are.
I mean, again, Oz, tough guy to root for. So I'm like,
but Sofia is it?
If Sofia,
very easy for me to root for, actually.
Right.
Okay, all right, all right. Okay, you men,
if Sofia,
chill out.
If Oz sent his a car full with a bomb, right? Sofia would tell somebody else. She wouldn't just like run like just run away to save herself. Like that's him doing that right there to me was like the worst thing he's done in this show.
Would she though?
I think she would. I think she'd try to tell somebody or do something. Like one of his guys goes, "Hey, Oz, what's going on?" Like the guy, the guys that are willing to risk their life for him, and he doesn't even give the guy a heads up, like, "Run, there's a bomb." Like they probably all die anyway. But
I don't think she would have done anything different. I think they're two sides of the same coin. Honestly, no, you give her way too much credit. Just like I said with her going to go meet with Gia, it wasn't about Gia at all. It was to make Sofia feel better about herself, what she did. And, if she's thinking, oh God, this is like Arkham, what have I done? I need to make myself feel better. I'm just going to tell her the truth. And like, good luck, kid. They're two sides of the same coin.
Well, I guess my question, this is open-ended question, just is like, I just don't know, how will Sofia survive if Oz triumphs and vice versa? How will Oz survive if Sofia triumphs? That's what I really want to see. And I wonder if it's going to be a definitive answer. Maybe that'll be answered in the Batman. Maybe the Batman opens with this fire and, because we haven't seen the Batman. We're not going to see the Batman, I don't believe, in this series, in the final episode. But, that bomb that went off in the last episode and this potential fire, those are events that are going to be Batman level events where he's going to have to be in action trying to save people. And maybe he is doing some work on the bomb, trying to figure out what happened. We're just not seeing it. It's off camera, but he's
over here from Wayne Manor, just like watching these two families like try to kill each other and be like, listen, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna let them finish. And then I'm gonna swoop in.
With the people, he's got to protect the people.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I can't wait for the finale. Cristin, do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to mention that we didn't talk about?
No, I think we touched everything. Agree with that. I think we get like some reference to Batman at the finale. I don't think we see him. Maybe, if it is something quick, but I don't think so as well. Can't wait until the finale. Then we got everything.
Yeah. Brittany, final thoughts? Anything you want to mention that we didn't talk about?
I just want to share real quick Bookworm's latest comment in the chat. I think Sofia wants to destroy Oz's heart and soul. So somehow she's going to destroy his relationship with his mom and destroy his reputation at the same time.
Perfect. That's a perfect comment. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I'm just, God, I'm so curious what Sofia has up her sleeve. I'm curious how Oz is going to like try to fast talk his way out of this. Like if he's going to be able to do that, because that's, again, he's come up to like the 11th hour or just like what could be the last possible moments of his life. And he just kind of flips the switch and maybe he is 2 steps ahead. I don't know. It remains to be seen. This whole show has just done a great job with storytelling and just kind of keeping you surprised and, at the edge of your seat. And if they both walk away from this, damn. Okay. I mean, these are forces to be reckoned with. And in terms of Batman, I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock in getting a cameo or kind of reference or anything like that. If anything, it won't be Batman himself. It could be just like Alfred, Alfred's like aware of, keeping tabs on things. I don't know.
The way this season opened, there was a reference to Batman.
Yeah.
So I can see the season ending that way and having like that symmetry.
Yeah.
Like the news report mentioning that, the vigilante is, there reports of him being seen. Maybe they try to pin it on Batman. Who knows? Like there's a lot of ways to go with this.
I don't know.
I can't wait for this.
I'm kind of anticipating like if the triads and the other gangs, come into play, if it's just going to be a full out war, if because they get involved that there's too many distractions and that's how Oz is going to make his great escape or something. I don't know. I'm trying to anticipate what could happen, but then at the same time, I don't want to set myself up for disappointment like I did with another show that we were reviewing. But anyway, we're not going to speak of it. So yeah, overall, I think this was a solid episode and I'm ready for the finale. I'm ready, but I'm not ready, of course, because the show has definitely surprised me with how much I've enjoyed watching it. And of course, just talking about it with everyone here.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal show. Looking forward to the finale. We'll talk about that next Monday night. But for now, what we thought about episode 7. We want to know what you think about it. And Brittany, what's the best way people can talk to us and let us know their thoughts and feelings on Top Hat?
On Top Hat. Yeah, for sure. So thank you to those who have taken the time out of their day to join us in the live chat. Shout out to King B Johnson once again and Bookworm for joining us and sharing your thoughts and comments on this episode. And hopefully you will join us again for the finale that will be next Monday, as Justin mentioned. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and hit the like button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you know the next time we go live, which will be tomorrow, Tuesday.
Tomorrow night.
Football. Yep. Justin, sell it.
Watchers Football Weekly. We're talking about week 9. Yeah, week 9 of the NFL season, which is concluding right now as we speak. The Tristan's Chiefs are hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we will be talking about that and all the other games from week 9.
Exactly. So that pretty much wraps it up for us in terms of lives that we are doing now that we've concluded Agatha All Along. If you're into Agatha All Along, you can rewatch all of our pods from start to finish now. But don't forget to subscribe, like I said, and also follow our social media. We have that all linked in the description box down below. And we also have audio podcasts available to you on Apple and Spotify. Give us a follow, give us a 5-star rating.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. So for Tristan and for Brittany, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.